newborn baby, there's something like 250 times the
the
safe amount of aluminium put into that little body. Which how can this little person get that out of their system? The body can't. It's just flooded with toxins. So they're, you're giving them not the best start in life.
Did you see really recently there was another autism study, and they found in the people they studied with autism, they had elevated levels of aluminium in the brain. This was like really recent. I think it was last week or this week.
Okay, cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's amazing that it actually got published. But yeah, there was a doctor who, I don't know if he was like the spokesperson for the study, or he probably orchestrated the study. I'm not sure, but he was like speaking out against it and everything. So, as well as the Alzheimer's sufferers, they've got heightened aluminium in their brain as well. So.
That's right, and you're told when you're pregnant to not eat fish and these things that contain mercury, but yet when your baby's born, hand the baby over and we'll pump it full of mercury for you.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
Doesn't make sense.
But now they're saying, like hardly any vaccines do have mercury in them, although it is apparently still used in the manufacturing process, like independent testing of vaccine ingredients, they still find mercury. But pro-vaccine advocates say most vaccines don't contain mercury anymore. But they've just replaced it with aluminium anyway, which is arguably probably, I don't know, as bad or worse.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And it's interesting that after if they don't use the vaccine, or after they use it, the syringe is actually toxic waste. So we're actually injecting toxic waste into our kids and our bodies, and something that they throw into the toxic waste bin at the end.
Yeah. So sad. So sad.
Where we've been talking for a while, we've done really well.
Went fast.
It's been more than an hour. So I'll start to wrap it up. There's just one thing. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about it, or if you have any opinions or anything. Something that came up for me while we're talking. About all the research, or the point you made, Maddie, about not one size doesn't fit all, and the limitations of science. So science isn't a foolproof method of proving what's truth. And
it's always changing. They're always finding different things.
Yeah, and it has its limits as well.
The
methods they use.
It's not like they've used everyone for their studies, and there's a lot of reports on how corrupt a lot of studies are.
Yeah.
The peer-reviewed process is even corrupt.
It's not completely foolproof.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know about you guys, but when I hear like a pro-vaxxers argument that's like science, vaccine science, vaccines work, it's science. It's like, no, it's not science actually. If it is, it's like, recently I've heard it's like tobacco science, in that it's so corrupt and there's so many vested interests and money behind vaccines that it's like the equivalent of when the tobacco industry was starting to sort of unravel in its exposure, exposing the tobacco industry of the harm their products were causing.
And they used to say that tobacco was good for you.
Yeah, doctors used to say it, and so I don't know. It's not the same, but it's similar situation.
Yeah, there's so many flaws to it, and even knowing that there is a risk, even without that, how can we really trust that this is something that we can give to our kids?
I guess if there was, an option for parents to maybe do some sort of test to see that if their child was going to have an adverse reaction to a vaccine.
I think they can test for the MTHFR gene mutation, but they don't.
But they don't take that as you can't use that as an
Yeah.
exemption. Yeah. So I've been tested for that, and I've got one part of the gene mutation.
Oh wow!
And so there's a good chance that my child could have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'd already made up my mind anyway that I wasn't going to do it. But some children will react. Their bodies will have more of a reaction to it than others. So, if there was just a choice, full stop, that would be the best. The best thing for us, I think. But if there was some test that you could do where you could see if it was,
it'd be ideal.
Yeah.
As you were saying before about not knowing what the damage the vaccines are doing, especially added to that, how the schedule's grown and grown. Like since I was born, it's 3 times the size or more, which is massive when you think about it. So like the effects of today's schedule is going to be magnified, by that much or more in, the coming years when it starts to come out. So it's, who knows?
Yeah.
And it's just getting bigger and bigger. Like they've got 270 vaccines in development at least, like today. Yeah, for all different sort of things. And like, not all of them are going to come into production, but just the fact that they're what they want, they're putting money and, sort of studies into these vaccines, they want them to be, regular, because that's how they make money. And just imagine like the schedule getting even bigger.
Yeah, and once it does get bigger, if it does get bigger, then I've heard of people who have said their children at school were being vaccinated and were told that they didn't need their parents' consent. And
a school doctor or something.
Yeah, and I've said to my son, if anyone ever does that, if you're ever in that situation, you just
punch them in the balls.
You just run and you just scream and you say you want your mum, and I'll sort it out. But to put children in that position where they're maybe being made to feel that their parents not doing the right thing by them as well. It's so confusing for a child. Even as they get a little bit older and they're able to. Yeah. Oh, if everyone else is doing it, I want to do it, because they might not.
They don't want to be. Missing
the different one. But I think
pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure.
Well, another tick for homeschool then.
Yeah, definitely. I know, I'm definitely leaning more towards it. Yeah.
And also what you were saying before, Maddie, about when your first child was born and you felt like you weren't, like you're almost forced against your will in a way, even though you chose to vaccinate him, and you felt guilt and it was going against your instincts. I just wonder as well, in terms of science, like, is there another way of knowing what's right for us without intuition? Because it seems like your intuition then was pretty spot on, and like with the kids being forced to be vaccinated, and obviously they have some sort of intuition kicking in, like they don't want this. Like, how do we know that like science isn't God? It doesn't, like, there's flaws to it as well. So, do you guys know where I'm trying to go with this?
Sorry, I'm kind of. If you could just explain it a bit more.
So what I'm saying is, there's other ways of knowing what is right for us in our bodies.
Yeah, intuitively, you mean?
Intuitively,
yeah.
But you can't sit in a doctor's and say, I'm
No.
sure, I mean, you can.
Yeah,
You
I
can,
might try that
actually,
next
you
time.
See how that goes.
Actually,
Yeah.
I did say that because when Finlay was born and we had to go to Monash Hospital and to get released you have to go and see a doctor before you're released, and there was a whole lot of stuff that happened there, but that's just too big a story. But as we were leaving, we had to have the discussion about vaccines. And the doctor, I remember, was all light and airy, and he was really friendly until we got to the point of discussing vaccines. And
His face changed.
and I said to my partner, because we were together at that point, and I said to him, the best thing we can just say is just we have decided not to vaccinate, and just keep it as simple as that. Because it's our right as parents to do that. And so we did say that. And his whole demeanour just changed. He went
Like you're
from
the devil.
it
Dramatic
flipped.
music in the background.
It was like dun dun dun.
Is it like they've compared
just-
it to the Matrix? How the bad guy in the
theories.
Matrix
Yeah.
is always there to sort of like when someone brings up the topic of vaccines, like there's someone around that's like so pro-vaccine that they're like willing to like start a fight about it and like attack you about it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that the media or the pharmaceutical industry together or have managed to like create people like that.
Yeah. I know it's quite. I don't even know what that is. It's quite unreal when you think about it. Because I guess that's their profession. That's what they do. But I think you just have to have an open mind and look at the facts and look at the information that's out there. Because I know when I said to that doctor, he said, why are you not vaccinating? And I said, because every cell in my body as a mother is telling me to not vaccinate.
Oh, that's a good one.
And he looked at me like I was an alien from outer space.
What planet have you come from?
And I just thought to myself, just as the parent who does decide to vaccinate will vaccinate because it feels right with every cell in their body to make that decision for their child, because it feels right for them.
Yep.
It also feels so right for me on the opposite side of it to not do it. I'm taking care of my child, and I'm going to keep him as healthy as I can in the best way that I see fit, not as you see fit or someone else sees fit. It's my job as his mum to do that.
Yeah, that just shows me that when people, doctors do act like that, as though it's not even an option, they haven't done their research on it, because there is a lot of science, a lot of books, there's a lot of evidence against vaccines, and when they're acting like there isn't, it's obvious that they're not actually doing their job. And they're just going by their, what they learnt in their education, what they've heard from their friends or whatever, their education from however long ago, and when they did one block of their study on vaccines and how like supposedly great they are.
Yeah, and if it was in a doctor, I know doctors are very busy and they have a lot of patients to deal with and they have a lot of work to do and there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in a day. But I think part of everyone's work, whatever you do for your living, whatever you do for your work, you always, I guess there's a bit of research involved in that because you want to stay up to date with what's going on. And I guess from their side of work, they look at the reasons to vaccinate and all the evidence supporting that. But if they were given a little block of time to look at the other side of that, would they think the same way? Would they feel the same way? If someone said to them, okay, you have to devote 2 hours a day or an hour a day to researching the adverse reactions of vaccines, would they be so willing to do that?
Yeah.
I guess there's money involved in it as well, so maybe, but it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, the ones that have recently come out, they've, been fully witch hunted and had their licenses suspended.
Yeah.
So it's so disappointing that the government would target them, and you know, they know what they're talking about, and they're just trying to silence them. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And that's, you know, for me, the perfect